really great job of, I think, sniping individual champions in at least every one of these drafts once, taking them and trying to deny them from Invictus Gaming here in this series. There is that Morgana ban hitting the table yet again, this time in the first 3. What are we going to get? Sivir was banned early by BLG in game number 3. Now it's going to be the first pick for them here.
This is definitely something that can pair with an enchanter like a Karma here for On, if that is what they want to go with. A lot of directions for BLG with this Sivir locked in. One of the biggest tools that we don't talk about, maybe as much as we should with this, champion is obviously the wave clear is there, but the movement speed that it can provide with the ultimate to kind of just shift players and shift champions across the map is always a fun thing to watch. Curious to see how BLG decide to operate their team composition now with that in their pocket. The response for IG, there's that Vi that you were discussing. VODS still making its way into game number 4 of this best of 5 Fearless series, and this is a champion that has been very powerful all season long.
Yeah, Varus is a champion I think has fallen and it's going to continue to fall as we see the consistent nerfs to this champion throughout this year, and I think against a Sivir, it's a little bit dangerous. A blind Jace, I think, is more interesting to me because there are no tanks now, there's no Gwen, there's no Rumble, so what else are we going to be seeing from Bin? What matchup does he have into the Jax, or into the Jace? Is it going to be that Jax that I was just referencing? Are you going to maybe try to take a neutralizing matchup, and it's going to be the Cassante here? So you're going to have a lot of stats, you're going to get kind of bullied around early on. We'll have to see what BLG can have and if this Sivir is actually going to have room to ever plant her feet and auto attack.
Yeah, because already the point and click here for Wei, and then all the follow-up damage you can throw at it with this Jace could be pretty powerful here. Some more counter-engage or disengage on Bilibili's side with the Braum getting locked in. Another one of those melee supports. After this, you're looking at things like Taric as the next champions up on the tier list. So definitely a powerful pick to get off the board for the remainder of this one and make sure that Meiko is unable to get his hands on it specifically. See what the final pick is here in the first rotation. Rookie locking in the Ahri. We'll make sure that TheShy is playing that Jace as we head into the second phase of bans.
So second phase, I think 2 champions that we need to take note of. Akali that was banned in that second game or in that third game, and Sylas. Sylas having access to the Vi and the Ahri combo could be dangerous, and Knight is a legendary player on both of these champions. So already seeing the Sylas getting taken. From BLG's perspective, you might want to just get rid of some unpopular AD carry matchups. I know that we were kind of looking at what the support matchup might look like, but I think if you're looking at it from Elk's perspective, you do not want to probably be playing into a Senna as this Sivir. You probably don't want to try to play into things like a Lucian later on, but it seems like they're going to get rid of the Varus, all things considered.
It was hovered earlier in the draft, and again, the AD carry pool definitely being pinched significantly here. So just take a look at what the final options could be. Looks like Beishuan going to be the target as well with the Maokai getting taken away. Man, I'm just looking through like what potentially this mid jungle could look like for BLG, because even though game number 1 obviously went, or game number 3 I should say, obviously went IG's way, the first 2 games completely controlled by Beishuan and Knight. If we can get them a strong 2v2, that is how BLG have been able to win these first 2 games of the set. And so, just trying to think in my head like what could potentially be some matchups. My mind originally went to like an Orianna lane, but that was banned away by BLG. So still a lot left to consider here as we see what exactly Gala and Meiko want to lock in on the other side.
This might be a time where you just pull out the Nocturne, but Beishuan probably is going to have to cook in this game. Zeri not a champion that we've seen from Gala, but did start to gain a little bit of priority towards the end of the regular season. I think teams starting to experiment a little bit, recognizing that AD carry pools might get pinched as we get further in series for best of 5s. So what is the enchanter here for Meiko? There's not a ton of support. You're going to be playing into a Sivir, which means that BLG should be able to have priority as this game goes on.
Lulu is a typical option here with the Zeri, but still, a number of different options that could be at IG's disposal, as BLG looking for a mid jungle to lock in for Beishuan and Knight. Beishuan had a ton of success on carry junglers in the first 2 games, specifically that Kiana in game number 2. Going to get another chance on one in the Nefiri this time around.
Just taking a look, it is going to be that Nefiri like you were mentioning. What is this matchup for Knight? You know that it's going to be the Ahri. Knight has been exploring counter picks. We saw that Game 5 Mel into the Twisted Fate, and we're going to get Lissandra here against the Ahri, a champion that has been, I think, slowly getting more and more powerful, has that ability to really lock down the targets, and I think is a strong way for them to stop what is a tankless front line from Invictus Gaming.
A lot of responsibility lies on Knight in this game. Not only is he the lone magic damage source here for his team, he's one of the main sources of just engage, right? He's going to have to go in, find either a massive, W stun after going in with a Frozen Claw, or using that Frozen Tomb to lock down somebody like Wei, like Rookie, like Gala. It's the typical Lulu here for Meiko to round out their composition. They have a very nice comp overall, but maybe a little bit more on the squishier side, which somebody like Knight and Elk could take advantage of later on in this game.
Last time we saw Knight on Lissandra was 2023 Spring Playoffs. He was playing it into Yagao. It was a loss. Last time he won on this champion was 2022 Summer Playoffs. Very important for him to be able to pick up this win and to be able to close out this series. I think if you just looked at it, this is a very easy composition for BLG to play against, but things like Lulu could be very dangerous, the mobility from these champions, but they need to just find the burst. If they can cut out Rookie, cut out Gala, this should be a closed shutout game. Probably going to lose access to those grubs on top side, but Sivir makes things very, very tricky for IG to play against.
Very fun to see the true Fearless drafts shape the way the later games of these best-of-5 series go. We see teams go deep into their back pockets to find champions that they think can function properly. So now we see a Lissandra for Knight, one of the best mid laners here in the LPL, on a champion he hasn't played in a couple of years, but has found success on in the past in a typical standard counter matchup. Whereas IG looking to try and keep this series alive by any means necessary. Game number 4 in our upper semifinal. Winner plays up against the winner of Top Esports and Weibo, happening tomorrow. And BLG want to try to make sure that happens to them with a Game 4 victory right here. Let's do it. Game number 4 starts right now.
It is a full arena in Shenzhen. And BLG, I would love to root for your opponents because I'm a big IG fan. I've been their biggest fan, I think, all year long. But we have to come back to why we have these little funky icons at the top. Again, Teacher's Day over in China, or for the 10th. And for the kids that are watching in the arena, we got to get them home. I went to a time zone converter. It is 8 p.m. They're elementary school kids. Now, it's a Tuesday/Wednesday, so still got school. Yeah, like it's bedtime soon, boys.
Bedtime for me too. I'm also in favor of this here, so.
That is true. As an East Coaster, I'm sure you are.
A little fun and invade happening here on the bottom side of the map for BLG, as we see Beishwan actually starting on enemy wolves. As Elkin On runs down from the river to finally pick up a little bit of CS.
Oh, wait a minute!
They're able to get her here early, but Gala immediately has to proc the cleanse after the concussive blows stun him up. And that is a really nice trade done by the BLG bot lane. As now Wei's going to catch out Beishwan here. This could get sticky situation. Real quick.
Okay. Getting the denting blows. Rookie is moving over. Probably just going to have to dash over the wall. Could actually just go for a late invade and just be a little annoying Nefiri Glizzy Dog. Seems like that is going to be the case. The bot lane cannot move in this instance. So missing that second Darkened Daggers does make it a little bit more difficult. Honestly, this is beneficial for IG as Wei is already on his camps. Beishwan has to do the walk of shame back into his side of the jungle. And yeah, there we go.
Ultimate Beishwanvery, yeah.
That's definitely a stretch. That's a stretch.
I respect Adam for trying. Finding these puns, you doing the BLG standards. It has been ultimate bravery for Beishwan. True Fearless. Here, since he's been subbed back in, it's split 3, a new champion every single game that he has been involved in. And hey, he's on a carry again this time around. Not something that you would have really seen from Beishwan his first stint on BLG. And you can see he is not afraid to continue to be aggressive. He's only taken one of his own camps so far, but now
this again
is looking for a mid lane gank in response. But Knight able to walk away safely.
Knight should be fine, has flash, and does have the claw if he really needs it. It's going to be Wei that doesn't have too many camps. He knows that there's no Raptors. We'll see that there's a red buff available, and this might activate a like a map split here, because if I'm Wei, I'm saying, okay, he hasn't taken red, but he did at least one camp and invaded me. Where is he? Elk is going to come back and ward his jungle. Wei has no idea this is happening. Beishwan is going to recall. He's going to at least contest him on the Krugs. And yeah, and Wei is going to be completely out of this game. This is a masterclass from Beishwan yet again.
I mean, we thought that he was playing a little bit too aggressive, going for that early invade onto the blue, but it looks like he actually is going to be the one to have the last laugh, picking up a longsword off of that reset. He's going to be able to force this Vi away, taking the entirety of that top side. Beishwan is in a great spot. Look at all the camps he still has left to farm in his own side of the jungle.
Yes, like Wei, he got blue buff, Gromp, and then he started his Raptors. So that second camp that is on the top side, that is respawn Raptors. I wouldn't be surprised if we see BLG and Beishwan try to leverage the advantage that they have in mid lane to take topside scuttle and maybe go in for an invade.
Looks like they're going to say screw the scuttle. Let's just get these chickens here. Beishwan has been spotted though.
And look at Wei!
But Wei just has nowhere to get, no availability to get to the Raptor pit. And Beishwan's going to just fight this one away. Might get a couple of the nuggets on the back end of things, but Beishwan's going to be very happy about how this early jungle stage has gone.
This is disgusting, and this is one of the ways that you can get around IG, is cut their jungler out. Someone who has to play bodyguard and usually play for his lanes. He has sacrificed his jungle pathing to make sure his lanes are stable twice now in this series. And Beishwan is running circles around Wei, which, I mean, you just look at the experience gap between these two players. Wei was literally tearing up MSI not a few years ago, and Beishwan has never left the region outside of this year. I think this is an incredible level of play that is hopeful to continue for BLG if they want to make a run here in the top end of the playoffs.
Having a great time against, again, the jungler that he ended up replacing.
That's true.
This time around. Hey, this time Wei able to take, or not able to take his own red buff because Beishwan stole it away from him. Now,
Yes.
able to take these Krugs, but he's just going to have to flash away. Elk's going to follow him because he knows that Knight is here. Not even able to get fully over the wall before BLG shut him down. That's first blood in the hands of the Lissandra.
If you want cope from a BLG, from an IG perspective, he got 2 flashes. So Knight no longer has flash, doesn't have the frozen tomb, there's no flash from Elk. Can Finn win this? Yes, he can.
Goes all out, forces the flash away from TheShy. Nicely done here by the Cassante. BLG winning here on this side of the map as well.
That's that Bin Sante, baby. He got so much healing off of that Q3. He was very close to going down. TheShy doesn't end up finding that kill, but loses his flash. That could be dangerous, especially as Beishwan gets closer to level 6. And now they're activating the swap at TheShy. This wave is... It should be pushing away from him, but, I mean, there's a Sivir, right? You make sure that you're always going to be able to push this lane. Now, let's see if Elk and On decide that they don't want to push this and try to deny experience.
Could be the possibility, but instead going to be IG going for the swap right back. You do get a plate here for Gala and Meiko, and they'll be able to rotate into this dragon being started up by Wei. That is going to be a good sign for them, but jungle matchup, again, really favoring Beishwan at this point. Sure, they're going to be able to get this first neutral objective, but Beishwan is getting dangerously close to level 6 before Wei's even hit 5.
We've got Grubs at 45. Does Beishwan try to find another timer before he resets, get him closer to that Shojin that we're expecting? This is 3rd time respawn of Raptors. Beishwan is in no man's land. No one can connect with him. He knows that Meiko, Rookie, and Wei are here.
Okay, able to just flash away, but here comes the rest of IG. The Spirit Rush and the Charm will finally punish Beishwan for his aggression. But now the collapse is here on to Meiko in response. The 1-for-1 overall, but BLG get the kill, this time only onto their support.
Not a jungler, but I will say, He did get the second respawn Raptors there, so that might be worth. I might just be calling worth if I was Beichuan. And you're able to grab that kill. On the back end, all in all, IG, they do end up making that swap that we were talking about, and Gala has gotten a plate on the bottom side of the Raptor, the bottom side, and he also got the top side. So not feeling too bad if you're IG in the trade, but at least Wei is making some headway in this game. He's getting closer to level 6 and starting to catch up with these jungle camps.
And obviously with the Vi, as soon as you hit level 6, you will have impact in a game just because of that pieces. But Beichuan right now in a much better spot. It'll help BLG get their hands on these grubs as well. Goldie though, not as far away as you might have originally thought. You know, Gala's doing a nice job farming against Elkinon specifically. They've been able to utilize the double range matchup as well, and the rest of the map pretty even across the board just in terms of gold. So IG, much like they were last game, in a relatively even position and in a nice spot to be able to potentially come back and really utilize their
We're searching. We've got Frozen Tomb. Let's try to invade Wei on his jungle. Rookie's gonna have to TP, but he is out of mana. He's gonna be late to this fight. Beichuan does get pushed off, and that advantage that we're seeing in the bottom lane is because we've seen Elk and On move so many times to protect Beichuan's camps on the bottom side of the map. We're TPing the Braum. Wei is not allowed to touch his camps, not at least with at least one BLG member contesting them on it.
Hey, he hasn't been able to take a red buff yet this game. It looks like that's going to have to wait just a little bit longer here. All 3 grubs have been picked up here by BLG. Wei, 0 red buffs, yes. For Spider-Man, no way home. By our
Bin's dead.
Staff. Bin is in some trouble. Gets a whole shock blast towards him. The Doran shield keeps him alive a little bit. He does have the ultimate though. Going to go all out onto the TheShy. Not a lot of mana left onto the Jace. The Intofo strike doing a lot of work. The Q3 not going to connect. He flashes in, and Bin gets himself the solo bolo.
That's Bin Sante. Here's Rookie. He's going to clean this one up, but the wave has already done enough damage. Bin barely missing out on some Q3s there, but the minions end up finishing the job. Let's see how much more of these minion waves we can see from these 2 mid laners, because Rookie can catch this next one, but this is a wave and a half that Knight gets access to in mid lane. Maybe even just getting a swap here. Bin's going to teleport into mid lane. Knight is going to grab it. Wei has completely dropped the red buff because he thought his enemy team was going to take it. We take a look back at this replay. It is so dangerous here as Bin, because I think TheShy is starting to slowly outplay his opponent, but the Bin ultimate, man, like this Cassante ultimate gives so much Omni-Fan fuel.
Yeah, I mean, so all your stats get buffed, your damage, your healing, and you can see it right there. Didn't even really need a flash. I think he was maybe anticipating a shock blast coming through, but guy never ended up throwing it out. So Bin just getting a kill there, finally getting on the board here for BLG, is keeping this one pretty even game state at this point in time. Waiting for Dragon, farming about a minute's time, as the lanes have been reset to pretty much standard form.
You know, notwithstanding about the game, I really love these logos, man. Like, these like logos that have so much color in them. They're obviously like a little like tilted, like the BLG one is not like even with the name, but it's just refreshing to have this much color in the game, honestly.
Yeah.
I love it. And we're also off that disgusting Noxus map, so nature's healing. We're getting back into it.
I love the little soccer ball inside the BLG.
Yeah!
Little character here, you know. Show the elementary school kids, I wonder, I assume they were the ones who designed the logos, and they did a great job.
It would be funny if Bin is just standing over them like, hey, can you put something in there for me, please? Like, he's like sitting there giving over like details. The kid's like showing him the piece of paper, and he's like,
commission.
Can you do that again, please? It's a commission. He's commissioning students. This is great. We're teaching them entrepreneurial skills very early on. And as we get closer towards objectives, obviously Dragon's going to be spawning here now. And as we look at these team fights, the big focus for BLG in these games is going to be making sure that they can catch Gala out, because this whole team from IG has a lot of damage, but Gala is going to be that consistent DPS. And Sivir, it's not maybe not have the same range. She also won't have that same explosivity that a Zeri might have. And there's a lot of lockdown coming in from this BLG team.
He's going to have a nice time dodging away from those. So one of the most mobile AD carries in the game. I was wondering if we were going to see a Hexblade build from this area, but it looks like that's going to have to wait for just a little bit.
Not first item. I would report you if you're going Hexblade first. Hexblade first is tough.
I've seen some. I feel like I've seen someone. Maybe it was my solo queue game or something. Go Hexblade first item.
Whatever Slayer is feeding you, you gotta stop that. You gotta tell him no. No Hexblade first.
It wasn't Slayer. It wasn't Slayer. I'll tell. I will tell him.
All right. Well, Wei is invading on top side. Grabs himself the Gromp. Should be able to very easily get out of this. BLG did grab themselves that Dragon, so at least going to be able to stop some of the Dragon stacking that IG. We haven't seen either of these teams hold strong control of these objectives outside of those first couple games from BLG. So at least we're being a little bit more forthcoming that we know these series are going to go a little bit later and that objectives are going to be main stage of these games.
Starting to see first item completions for the members, for everybody kind of across the board here. I feel like both parties feeling a little bit more tense this time around. There's not as much aggressive going for random kills here and there. Much more stable, much more about rotating to get waves, to get turret plates, and make sure you're in the best possible position for somebody.
Well, yeah, Grapes, all the kids are gone now. You know, all the children are gone, so they're like, okay, now we can have all the boring games.
You think they left already?
It's 8 p.m. We talked about it. It's their bedtime.
I don't know. I don't know the culture about what the elementary school bedtime is in China.
Grapes is like, I would be a woke parent. I'd let them stay up until 10.
I slept until I went to bed at like 9. When I was in elementary school, I get at least another hour.
What are they doing to the kids, bro? Put them to bed at 6 p.m. like old people. Send them back to the mines. Well, we got Dragon spawning in 3. We got, more importantly, Herald in 30. So it is so much easier for BLG to move from mid and into this objective. It'll be interesting to me to see how they're setting this up, but I'm seeing Meiko. Meiko is nowhere nearby, and he's placing wards on the bottom side of the map, so he might not have control of the top side here. And that'll mean that it's much easier for BLG to, again, push through mid and gain control of what is going to be this Herald pit.
In general, though, IG are kind of okay with playing a composition that, or with not being the second one to get to these major objectives, because they have a lot of poke. They're able to, use this Jace and then potentially find a hard engage onto a main carry to start a fight, being way on the system assist, but this is the case. Herald has been started up by BLG. Elkanon here to hit this objective. Here, Gala, Wei, and Meiko hovering around the area, but here comes the Glacial Fissure, finding the knockup and immediately onto the Vi, and forcing her to use the Vault Breaker away. But all 5 members of BLG are here at the Herald first, and they should be able to take it down. But it looks like IG still want to go for the fight. Charm only lands onto Bin, and he uses the Pathmaker very nicely to make sure no crowd control goes BLG's way. The Winter's Bite lands onto Meiko, in goes the Claw. They found the Glacial Tomb onto TheShy, but TheShy is able to flash away safely, and Wei is able to have the Wild Growth on top of him. Wind goes all out, but Wei is able to get away, and in goes Gala. He makes sure that Elk will go down before he does, and it's a 1-for-1 at the cost of the Rift Herald going BLG's side, and they're going to proc it to try to crack open this mid lane tier 1 turret.
We've got 3 grubs. They've done this in every single game. Overload on the one side of the map, grab yourself turret. It just happens to be that mid lane it might be Meiko up next. Has to use the flash to get out of this one. BLG playing aggressive, and it is again really tough for IG, who are late to that objective, and they have no tank here in this game. Vi stepped up, lost half of her HP, and it made it very difficult for IG to contest realistically. I mean, look at this, we're already late to the objective. Obviously, this is after this fight has already started, and look at how the fight gets split up. TheShy gets engaged upon, we're having Wave go in, but lands onto no one, and Gala is hitting only onto Elk. I would consider that a win from BLG's perspective, even if they traded 80 carries.
Gala getting a kill is nice. Actually, the last proc of the Lightning Crash hitting on first before it bounced on to the Sivir to take her down. So yeah, BLG feeling pretty happy that they are able to break mid lane. This just gives them so much extra pressure across the map. The vision line already kind of shifting into IG territory for the help, with the help of On, especially around the bottom side with the Dragon spawning in about 20 seconds. So BLG going to be in a really good position to try to stack some of those Drakes up and get closer to the eventual Mountain Soul.
It's going to be tough for IG to play. This is a composition that really requires you to walk a fine line in these games, because you need to be able to use what is going to be an assassin Jace, essentially, with Yomu start and going for the Muramana afterwards. Wei is not going to have as many tanky resistances, but maybe gets augmented by a Lulu. already getting damage down on the way. It's Dragon now up and available, and IG are going to start this, but you're going to have Cassante late.
On, gets caught by the charm of Rookie, and that means that IG will get the first kill of the fight. Bin does not have any teleport, and he's on the top side of the map, so this is going to be the Dragon going IG's way. A nice play specifically from the IG mid laner, Rookie on the Ahri, to find a pick on the On, and to make sure that IG are the ones to get this second trade.
Oh no, it's not going to get picked off here. They're going to go for a 4-man play on this bottom side. They're going to look to trade. Bin does have teleport. It is coming up now.
Knight still has his ulti, going to be able to buy a lot of time, using it to do a little bit of damage onto Wei. The Claw not going to be able to send him away, and that's going to be the Zeri picking up the kill. Teleport does come in. The redemption in from On is just going to be enough to help Wei go down with the help of Bin, who now is able to go all out and get himself a double kill. But the charm from Rookie once again is true, and Gala will get kill number 4 of this game for IG.
That charm is really well placed there from Rookie, because it is when Bin is all outed, he has no ultimate. He has no stacks of armor or magic resist thanks to how ultimate kind of takes away those resistances. They don't end up getting the turret. BLG still have 3 grubs. Maybe they look to try to push here. Kind of tough, because usually with Sivir you want to use that boomerang blade and the all out or the on the hunt attack speed boost that you would get. But because there are champions nearby, you're not going to really be able to do that. You're going to generate some turret aggro. Beitwan is still absolutely pillaging jungle camps away from Wei. I feel like the start of that, Grapes, was BLG being a bit greedy, because like you had mentioned, Bin had no teleport quite yet, so why are we even posturing around this objective?
Yeah, and then it results in obviously the first kill going over, and then Knight getting singled out and just dove for free, seemingly. And obviously, well, maybe not for free, as Bin eventually was able to teleport in and kind of salvage that play a little bit, but a situation that could have been avoided by just giving up the Dragon that you were going to lose anyway.
Yeah, the wave's also just nowhere nearby. I feel like if you're a Knight, you gotta feel you can stand a little bit under the turret. You don't have to completely give it up. They don't have very many ways of diving. And if Vi does that while completely under the turret, she is dead for sure 9 times out of 10. So you got yourselves a lot of gold in this play. It was the trade of 2 for 2. The solo lane's obviously falling for the jungle and support of IG, but they got 2 turrets from that. They got top lane tier 1 and they got the bottom lane tier 1. Now they needed to have spent that gold and turned it into meaningful objectives. Knight has to finish his top lane and recall, because he has, I assume, what's going to be a Shadow Flame soon for him. He needs to get it back and teleport into this Otacon fight.
Rookie finding a charm, but this time onto the Braum, which had the Unbreakable onto him. On not taking a single chunk of damage and already forcing Rookie to Spirit Rush away. The Otacon has been tagged, and Knight rejoined the fight with that Shadow Flame as you suggested. And Bin able to jump forward and make sure that he doesn't take much damage as well. BLG, with all 5 members looking to try and force a fight around the Otacon. They feel confident, up 1,500 gold at this point, but the damage from TheShy and Rookie will start to hurt unless BLG pull the trigger now.
The onus is on BLG, but the agency does not come from IG. They are not able to get into this fight, and Wei needs to find something.
Knight finds the stun. It's on to TheShy, and that's going to make him go down, but it comes at the cost of Beishwan. 1 for 1 overall. Here goes Wei with the season assist. Looking for Knight, looking for Bin, but the damage is too much on Elk's side, and makes it a 2 for 1 in favor of BLG.
The only reason BLG are not able to continue going forward is because Beitwan got caught out there. Bin doesn't show. Rookie's gonna walk straight into Fog.
He thought he was safe with the ward in there, but the control ward denies any vision of Knight. And that means that the BLG mid laner is able to take down his opposition. Rookie has had such a great game on this Ahri so far, but one critical mistake will yield his enemy team the Otacon buff.
That is a massive mistake coming in from Rookie, and that was the poise that we were looking for IG to have throughout this series. Eventually now finishing this one out, Otacon's done. They need to get a recall in and get ready to fight for Dragon, because the only way I see IG being able to fight out of this game is getting themselves a Mountain Drake Soul. We gotta look back at this replay. A lot of poke damage. This is kind of what you need to do when you have an Ahri, but look at where Rookie is. Rookie's nowhere near this fight. Meiko has to flash out. If Meiko can get access to a Mikhail's, that will be a big game changer for them going further in this game. At the engaged from way. There's no one to follow up. Rookie cannot flash forward. He cannot Spirit Rush forward because this is not available to him. He doesn't have access to the spell.
And when Vi's your only like front line and there's not much else to follow up on the engage, it makes it very easy for BLG to just say, okay, let's just kill the Vi that jumps in. And that's what's happened every time Way has attempted to try to make a play. Now, plus side for Invictus Gaming is Gala on the Zeri. Looking close to that third item in the Infinity Edge. Not going to be available for a potential Dragon fight, so because of that, BLG going to be able to take that one for free. Getting more resources into their main carries has to be the priority for Invictus. They have to make sure that Gala is able to 1v9 these fights because that is the best opportunity for them to keep themselves in this series.
I called for them to go for the Drake. IG instead, they want to go towards top side, get themselves a turret in that lane, and get gold onto the Jace, as he is closing in on 3 items. I wonder what his third item is going to be. He does have a serrated Dirk. Could be an Edge of Night, honestly. I think that the spell shield is way too valuable when you see some of the champions from BLG.
There's the IE.
But there it is. Sivir versus the Zeri. 3 items here for Gala, and imagine that Elk is going to be very close to his third as well. Which does mean, Grapes, 55 seconds, Baron time, baby. And there's not a flash for Knight, same for his mid lane counterpart. And Gala and Meiko are both missing very critical summoner spells.
Not having that flash means it's just a little bit easier for Knight to find the ulti onto Gala. And with that Mikhail still not available, Meiko means that only the cleanse is at Gala's disposal at this point. There's so much more crowd control that can be thrown onto this Zeri afterwards though, and that's going to be the biggest problem. Invictus Gaming very much still alive in this game. Deficit is only about 1,000 gold. This is kind of the states of games, Alk, that we would see IG able to come back from in some of the turbo bangers that these two teams have played against each other during the regular season of this season.
But maybe I've just lost the faith, but this game, this draft in particular, isn't giving me that magic. Like, I think it is incredibly tough for IG, even with 1,000 gold deficit, for them to realistically fight. I think if you were to put computers versus computers and you take these drafts, I think that the way that BLG can play before this, what is, I hope to be a Mikhail's coming on through for Meiko, is really tough for them. But maybe that item changes everything. Maybe giving Gala even more insurance policy, even if he doesn't have the cleanse, for them to play, gives them just that little bit more oomph in these fights. It's going to be BLG getting access to mid lane wave and top lane wave, so a single pick, a single chunk onto any member of IG could spell Baron for this team.
Yeah, with just the lack of frontline that IG have, a full 5v5 just straight up is going to be very tough for them. They need to utilize their poke, and they need to utilize their pick potential with the Viari 2v2. See right now, Rookie just fishing with these charms, has the Horizon focus as well. Not going to be able to find one on the base one. And BLG actually going to start up the Baron. Going to burn it down pretty fast with a 2-item Nefiri as well as a 3-item Sif.
Oh, there it is. There's a Scryer's Orb being used on it, so they know exactly where it is. It's going to be a teleport here from TheShy. We're going to get some good old-fashioned ARAM, baby. 4 members, and
nice.
Sivir does get a massive chunk thanks to TheShy. This Runon's Hurricane is making it a little bit more digestible, I think, for IG, that they can contest the Sivir on wave 3.
Oh, Wade going forward with the Vault Breaker, but Beishuan pops the untargetable at just the right moment. Ultra Shock Laser not finding anybody, but this is how IG need to play. Slowly, with the poke, with attempts at finding members of BLG picked off. They cannot face check any full 5v5 scenario at this point, so they will try to just regain control of this mid lane wave and hope that BLG aren't able to pull the Baron. And it looks like now
that's tough.
Bilibili feeling a little restless. They're throwing out the Glacial Fissure and not able to find anything. And that's a key ultimate down on their blue team side.
I wonder if Rookie just goes down bottom lane and looks for it. I mean, he has teleport. We're giving up a lot of golden experience around the map. They're giving time over to IG to get some more gold here. BLG, they're going to have their support teleport back in. Doesn't have the ultimate quite yet. There's a charm now missing from the Ahri.
Galla's positioned very aggressively. He still has both of his summoner spells though, so even that Frozen Tomb onto him should result in him staying alive. Oh, Rookie, he misses the charm! That could have been a massive play for Invictus Gaming, but instead, it is just going to be the flash and the ultimate used by the Invictus Gaming mid laner. and forcing him back to base. So a whole lot of NARM, whole lot of nothing for both sides.
Yeah, Elk and Gala both use their ultimates. I gotta say, Grapes, you know who that favors? I think that looks good for BLG here. No Lightning Crash available for Gala, and we're 40 seconds away from a Dragon. Baron's also up and available if they really want it. IG are trying to fight back here. Sivir's also going to be late to this play. BLG need to wait. There's another red buff that we're invading for.
They need to find somebody, but all of BLG stack up beautifully to make sure that Wait not have an isolated target to go for. So it's just going to be the red buff going over to Beishuan. And the Baron dance can begin once more.
Oh.
The Redemption spots them out at just the right time, and that means that IG know that they have to make their way into the pit. But BLG are going to be very happy with that, as a 5v5 team fight is exactly what they're looking for.
They're trying to burn this down. It's already at half HP. Wei is tracked right now.
Baron's
His
taking
vision,
low.
great job
He's
from
at
our
4,000
observers.
HP. Bin with the all-out, going to try to send the Vi away, allow for Beishuan to secure the objective. That's Baron Nashor in the hands of Bilibili Gaming. The Wild Growth going to keep Wei alive as the Vault Breaker's out to safety, but that's in a big chunk of gold, a big chunk of an objective into the hands of the blue side, and they're going to immediately teleport Light in to continue the assault.
This was a fantastic split coming in from BLG, not only with Bin moving on forward. We saw TheShy was nowhere near this fight because he was pressuring Knight, lost his flash, but then forced Knight to take a recall and teleport back in. Baron means that they're going to push on this bottom lane wave. I think BLG right now, all you are focusing on, because you know IG are recalling, get back into waves and let's get gold back into your pack pockets here, because we spent the last 3.5 minutes on this mid wave.
Oh man, yeah, not the best here for IG. The fact that they spent so much time trying to prevent that Baron from going down and they weren't able to do so anyway. Not only that, at Soul Point in the hands of BLG as well. They are on match point. They have the Baron buff and they're looking very good to try to continue to break this game open and send themselves into that winner's finals. And IG have their time, but it's running out quick.
I need Meiko to finish this the second item, man. This is honestly like, I needed like air, bro. Just give me a McHale's. If it's not a McHale's, then I don't know what else we're building in this instance, because this is the only way you're going to be able to keep Gala alive and make sure that he can really fight with impunity in these team fights. It's going to be Wei right now trying to find some jungle camps on the top side, invading the enemy team. They're going to protect the mid-tier one, but this is still just BLG using those 3 grubs and the Baron at their backs. They're going to get 2 turrets for this at the very least.
Wei, he's trying to clear like a topside scuttle crab or something. He's so separated from the rest of his team.
He got the blue buff and that's it, man. He ran out.
Source of engage here for Invictus Gaming, but
Gala
trying to flash forward anyway. He gets knocked up, he gets stunned, but he's able to get one back before he finally ends up going down. Meanwhile, Wei went down to Beishuan on the backside of the fight in the mid lane. So it's overall a 2-for-1 in favor of BLG. And now it's only 3 members of Invictus Gaming left to try to defend their base. The Antopa strikes lands on TheShy. He is separated from the rest of his team, and Bin goes all out.
That's it!
Sends TheShy into the dirt. Only Rookie and Meiko survive, and that's not going to be enough to try to stop the end of this game and the end of the series.
Billy found their mark in IG, tried to pull the trigger a little too soon. A base defense turns into the end of the game.
Rookie has to do his damnedest to clear the wave, to take out anybody on BLG, but it just will not happen. It was a clinic here in Game 4. An easy series win for BLG as they upset Invictus Gaming and move on to the winners finals.
That is incredible. A series that almost nobody thought IG were going to lose. BLG handily throw them to the dirt and throw them down into the lower bracket. Easy MVP here for Beishuan in this game number 4. God, he gapped the living hell out of Wei. The things that we saw, not only in this game, but in multiple points throughout this series. I think BLG fans can be a little worried about Game 3 and parts of this last Game 4, but nonetheless, domination throughout this series. And like you said, going into the upper bracket finals here for Bilibili.
Securing themselves top 3 in the split yet again. Of course, they were second in split number 2. And just one series away from making sure that happens again is BLG. And for Invictus Gaming, I mean, that's their first, that's a 7 series loss streak or win streak for them. They had been cruising until they ran into BLG, and this was a matchup that they were able to handle for the first 2 times throughout the regular season. But you know who's different in terms of the 10 players on stage is that guy right there in Beishuan. He came in and made sure that BLG had the same results against IG like they did in split number 2.
That was the joke that you kind of came in with, that BLG only beat IG when Beishuan was on the roster. And so maybe Beishuan has just got that sauce up against Wei and the rest of Invictus Gaming. Across the board, I feel like IG were a little hesitant to make plays. It is kind of a hallmark of their style, but I don't think the draft gave them very many angles, as we discussed throughout this game. I know jungle is a big difference. Rookie cannot have series like these if this team is going to go far. It's not even a guarantee that they'll be able to make it into Worlds. At this point with their point totals, they are likely locked for regional finals at the very least, but like, this is not a good look if this is what we're going to get from the rest of IG now.
Yeah, really falling flat for Invictus Gaming as we were hyping up this mid lane matchup, right? Knight versus Rookie, so the best mid laner currently in the league versus one of the legends here on Invictus Gaming's side. But Rookie just ended up getting gapped a lot of the time by Knight, getting solo killed in 3 out of the 4 games. I will say I liked the looks that he was finding on the Ahri, but it wasn't enough to help his team win that final game. And so back to the drawing board, IG have to go, and I'm very curious to see how the rest of their playoff run does look like, as this is the first time that they've been stymied, have been stopped in quite a while.
A tough look for IG, and one that might just be a bitter pill to swallow for them at this point, considering that they, like you were saying, were kind of going on a run here. It does mean that Bilibili, if I take a look at the other side of the bracket, they should be moving down onto the other side. So they'll be going up against the loser or the winner of Anyone's Legends and Ninjas of Pajamas. That'll be played on September 14th. So we'll have at least 5 days of rest in between now and then. But that just means that they only have 1 life now for the rest of the tournament. One that could have happened today, right? Like, we came in, we were saying BLG are not favorites in this, but I mean, anything's possible in these brackets. I don't know, like, you always, I think you can't always count out BLG, especially in playoffs.
I mean, it did not look good for them the first series, even the first couple of games of that series against JDG, and somehow as soon as Beishuan steps in, things start to look up here for this squad as Bilibili Gaming looking poised to kind of re-emerge as a true threat here in the LPL playoffs. And that's honestly the most important thing, the fact that all these teams can find their peaks at the right time, and that's going to be a really fun story to watch. Shout out to the elementary school representing BLG as well, as they get their club a victory here on the day before Students' Day. I wonder if, you know, Teachers' Day is tomorrow, I believe. It's the 10th, so I'm curious to see if we get some cool logos for TES and Weibo tomorrow.
Also means that the kids do get to go to bed vaguely early. They go more on the grapes timeline for bedtime. It is 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. Not a bad time. So, I mean, Gala had such a good game for most of this, but I feel like he really had to squeeze in this game. I mean, it's hard to play Ahri when there's a Braum on the enemy team already, and kind of being the only consistent DPS on your team means that if you have a Lulu, you are allowed to step up. I just want to take a look at this last fight. This last fight is completely a backbreaker for IG. Gala flashing forward. I really wonder, this is one of those moments where being a remote broadcast and also being essentially a co-stream of the LPL, I wish I had access to like the in-game client, because I wanted to see how close Meiko was to finishing his second item. I really, truly believe if they waited just 30 to a minute, you might just have your Mikhails and then allow Gala to have moments where he's allowed to flash forward.
Just didn't get there somehow. I mean, might be a victim of the pink ward syndrome, where you just keep spending your gold on the control wards and then run out of gold for the items. Here's the last fight again. Gala really doing his best to try to one-shot Elk. Doesn't have enough damage. He flashes forward and just gets completely obliterated by this Lissandra.
Oh, and then there's just no damage, right? Like, Rookie's only 2 items. He is playing with the buffed Horizon focus, but all of your poke is landing into a Braum shield, into a non-all-outed Cassante. So IG were on a timer here. They needed to make things happen in the early game. Wei got completely jungle gapped here in the series and especially in this game. I just want to see the Beichuan MVP. I think it is such a magical story, by the way, that a player so maligned by the community comes through game 2 of a series that they were about to get 3-0'd in, makes it happen in a reverse sweep, then keeps pushing. A player that has been missing all of Split 3, and Beichuan, an unlikely savior here for Bilibili.
And again, this is the player that we didn't even realize was like eligible or healthy enough to play in the postseason here for BLG or just at all. I personally was kind of going in with the assumption this playoffs that it was going to be Shadow all the way. There was no option here to sub in Beichuan, but now that it has happened, you know, we'll see how far they can ride this. Maybe they want to utilize a 6-man roster. I don't know how exactly that would end up working out, but now the world is BLG's oyster. They are able to lock themselves into top 3. They're in winners finals. They have 2 lives to try to claim yet another LPL trophy, getting Knight over that hump. And he's actually the one to win the MVP here. I don't know how much I would necessarily have voted for him, but he did have some
capped
nice
Rookie so hard in the past games that they had to give him a retroactive MVP.
You know what? Respect, fair enough. This is for the solo kill in game 3 that they weren't able to give it to him for.
Yeah, tough one here. A great MVP going over to Knight. Look, I would love to give Knight a bunch of MVPs if I could. Again, the most represented mid laner in all pro votes. He is getting up there when it comes to MVP. He's only currently 2 MVP votes behind Doinby, who is currently the leader at 5. Let's go. Let's go. This makes this playoff so much more exciting. Can you believe, by the way, producer Adam, do we have the bracket up, ready to go? Because I want to look at this. Can you believe, Grapes? IG and AL are already in the second round of playoffs in the lower bracket. And we're going to have either the defending split champions or this IG hopeful super team not even make it out of top 6.
The bracket is brutal, man. I mean, that's AL's fault for losing, obviously, but geez,
oh yeah,
that's gonna be a fun one. Right now, we don't even know if AL is gonna be able to be an NIP at this point because they have looked very shaky so far. Our Group Nirvana teams have the chance to do some really incredible work down there in the lower bracket. They need a win at the very least in these series in the next couple of days to keep their chances of going to Worlds alive, where, you know, AL probably going to make it to the qualifiers no matter what, but, you know, they don't want to just make it to the qualifiers. They want to win the split, and that has definitely been hampered, and we'll see if the matchup against you know, IG ends up happening, because that's going to be just really exciting.
A really, really incredible series, and hopefully one that gives not only the fans, but us here on the broadcast a little bit more faith in BLG, taking down an unexpected win over IG, and having those shades of previous form, I mean, just 3 hours ago, we were watching Knight literally solo kill Rookie at the 7-minute mark, and then that got repeated multiple times throughout this series. I hope that this is the BLG that we're going to see in the rest of playoffs.
If it is, well, we're in for a damn entertaining postseason, and we'll see if IG can bounce back to the way that we saw them look towards the end of the regular season as well. When all the teams in the LPL are at their best, that is where the league is at its most entertaining, and we sure hope we get there over these next couple of weeks as we wrap up our 2025 broadcast schedule. Before we leave, got to give a big shout out to our Elite Coffee supporters, Aaron, Soupmung, and Forrest. Without their pledged financial contributions to help level up the broadcast and give back to the casting crew who strive to give you an English LPL broadcast every single day. Once again, final score here, Bilibili 3, Invictus Gaming 1. Make sure you tune in tomorrow, same time, same place, twitch.tv/LPL English for our second upper bracket matchup between Top Esports and Weibo Gaming. On behalf of our producer, Rare Adam, my color commentator,